Support comes from Texas Mutual Insurance Company, providing safety-focused workers' compensation coverage to more than 1.5 million Texas workers. Like press brake operator David Silva at WorksafeTexas.com/onthejob.
Good morning, everybody. I'm KCREGINALDJR.
The man J-Dub, Justin Waters.
Welcome to UnderDawg Sportz. We're going to have a great show for you. We'll be right back.
Let's go.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to this Saturday morning edition of the show. We're going to get right into it. First, we're going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about. Melo's return, the Houston Rockets win last night, and whatever the heck is going on. And obviously, we're going to cover our teams. And this morning is the workout for Mr. Colin Kaepernick. So we're going to cover all that and some more on the show. But starting off the show, we're going to go with J-Dub and his big announcement of Carmelo's return.
So let's say yesterday around noon, Carmelo Anthony was signed to the Portland Trail Blazers, which, ironically enough, he was one of the teams he was recruited to when he was in the free agency spot and ended up going to the Rockets. Me personally, I think it's a great move because Portland right now is very much underachieving. I know when we talked about it before, I had Portland as one of the top teams coming out of the West, outside of the Clippers, the Rockets, and surprisingly the Lakers, who are right now kicking butt. But Portland is 4-6 right now, and Melo fits their offense more than probably anybody. It's good to see Melo back in the league. The only thing I want to know is he coming off the bench or is he starting?
Well, it's Carmelo, and it's like his retirement swan song, so I think he's going to come off the bench. I don't see a world in which he starts.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he does come. I hope he does because Rodney Hood is right now the small forward on their starting lineup, and obviously Melo is not a power forward by any means. Although he fits the size, he's not a traditional power forward. Coming off the bench will give them the firepower they need. They already got Lillard between D-Lil, McCollum, and Hood. You already got scorers, and then you got Jerkis, who's actually a pretty good scorer with himself as a center when he comes back healthy from his ACL tear last year. But it's a good move. I was kind of surprised Portland would have been it now in the season. I honestly thought he was still going to chance to be good in the New Jersey Nets organization. But, hey, it is – or not New Jersey, excuse me, Brooklyn.
Yep.
But, hey, everything works out. Hopefully he can help out the West, and it'll be real interesting to see how he plays.
I'm really happy for Melo because he wasn't ready to be retired yet, and he didn't get his swan song. I think since it's a non-guaranteed contract, he really can't say that I'm going to give it this one last shot. But I really think he needs to take it as he gets one last shot around the league because ultimately the guy is not going to play defense no matter where you put him on the floor. And he's not the scoring machine he used to be, so that makes him a liability.
And that's why I thought he didn't go to the Lakers. I think because, everybody was saying, Bron, go get your boy, Bron, go get your boy. But he doesn't fit. Bron right now learned last year that he needed scorers, but he also needed a bunch of guys that can score and play defense. He got it in the Lakers system. Melo doesn't fit that role by any means. Definitely not going to rebound, so either way.
Yeah. But again, I'm happy for Melo. I really hope he takes this opportunity to give it his, like I said, swan song, his retirement unofficial tour through the league one more time. Unfortunately, he will not be making his debut Monday against the Rockets, who are coming off a win last night. But they're dealing with a rash of injuries. So as you can see, I just used that quick little segue to get to the Rockets.
Good move. Go for it.
So the Rockets, they won last night, but they are dealing with a whole lot of injuries. Clint Capella's dealing with a concussion. Eric Gordon is out. He had surgery, I believe, on Wednesday. Daniel House is out. So big dog Tyson Chandler got 25 minutes last night, and dude played well. All 38 years old of him.
I think he's older than that, to be honest with you.
No, that's how old he is. I got it right. I'm good on this one. Yeah.
No, I know he's 38. He's 38
Oh,
he just
you mean
like he's been in the league
yeah.
since like 94. He's been around so long.
Last night he got to cover Cedric Sabalas' son, okay? That's how long he's been in the league. Yeah, but he played very well. He's energized with this Rockets team. The Rockets somehow won their last 5 games now. I think it's 6 maybe, with more and more injuries. And with all the injuries, James Harden has been scoring 40 points a game again. This is great for the Rockets right now. My thing is, it's very early and all the injuries. I do want to point out that the players that are injured besides House are the players that I said that they should trade in the first place. I'm just saying. Like Russ isn't load management is going to keep Russ from playing today. So in addition to all the injuries, Russell Westbrook is not available tonight.
Here's my thing with this. I do have one question with coming down with James Harden. Him scoring 40 points a game, I know he's trying to break the all-time record or be one of the top all-time scorers in the last, 30 years, not named Michael Jordan. But do you think he's putting it on a little too much now? Because at this rate, he's the only healthy one on the team, so he's taking more and more. I mean, between him and Russ, he's taking more and more of a load. When playoff time comes, if it's like this, it's going to be the same thing we've seen for the last 5 or 6 years, where James is burnt out, he's not scoring, or he's 1 for 50. And the thing is maybe not load management, but maybe they should tell James, hey, slow it up just a little bit. Don't go and have to shoot as many shots, especially with all the guys that are out. You can't bring anybody in, obviously, because you can't trade an injured player, but maybe they just got to slow it down just a tad. Because other than that, they'll be burned out in these 82 games. He's going to play all 82 if healthy. So I'm just saying, both him and Russ.
Well, Russ isn't going to play 82. He's already rested one back end of a back-to-back, and he's going to do it again today. So Mike D'Antoni is not the old school coach I thought he was, because he's good. And I think it's his idea to rest Russ the way he's resting him. My bad. 1 second. I think it's D'Antoni's idea to do this, because I don't recall Russell doing this anywhere else. In Oklahoma City, for instance, just last year. I don't recall him doing that, but maybe it wasn't a big deal. But do you remember him doing it?
No, I think he played all 82. If healthy, I didn't think he rested any games the last 2 years. He played, especially the first year Kevin Durant left.
Yeah, so this has got to be a D'Antoni thing, that he's giving him breaks like this. But I also think that D'Antoni is comfortable with his backup guard rotation, because Austin Rivers, he's not balling, but he's playing really good for them. He's adequate. He's a good defender. I kind of like Austin. And he helped get his dad teed up and out of the game the other day, so that was awesome.
That was hilarious. Now, I do think Austin Rivers, remember you kept saying that we should trade to get J.J. Redick, and I think that's the reason why the Rockets shouldn't trade to get J.J. Redick. It's because of Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers can shoot the ball, and he's a strong ball handler. But flip side of that coin, he's the reason why I think Eric Gordon's more expendable.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I would go Gordon for Redick straight up and see if New Orleans is willing to do it.
I doubt that.
I mean,
he's been in New Orleans.
I know that,
I don't think they want him back.
Well, I mean, he's more athletic than Redick at this stage of his career, and he's got more years left in him at this stage of his career. But I know that one of the reasons he wasn't successful down there is injuries, and now he's just had knee surgery, so they definitely won't do it now. They probably would have, when I told them to do it. They should listen to the damn podcast.
Well, true, and plus the fact of the matter is, I think that right now, New Orleans isn't going to do any movement until they get Zion in.
I think they would have took Gordon for Redick.
How they blend to him. I mean, technically, like it or not, it's still him and Drew Holiday's squad.
Yeah, but I think they would have took Gordon for Riddick.
To that point, I don't see any move.
You don't think they would have did Gordon for Riddick?
Not for an up and up, no.
Well, I think they
and
would.
Gordon's contract is not as – J.J. Redick's getting paid $22 million. I think Gordon's only getting paid like $16. So, you know, you don't want to eat some more money if they ain't got to.
No, I mean, the Rockets are willing to go in the luxury tax, and Riddick is an upgrade as far as shooting is concerned, especially if you feel like you're a championship team. That's why I don't understand why they didn't explore more options with moving him so they can bring in a Redick or someone else, especially if you have Cephalosha and Rivers. If you can come with Redick off of the bench, like, and hitting those threes, he don't have to necessarily be in the corner. That makes this team more electric. They might lead the league right now in made three-pointers, but they have the worst three-point field goal percentage of any team in the league.
Well, I think the Rockets want more of a defensive player as well. So, you know, you're getting J.J. Redick. Yes, you're getting a shooter, but you're not getting any type of defense. They're better off. If they really wanted a shooter that don't play defense, they can go after Kyle Korver. He'd be cheaper.
Well,
they need a guy that can do both in this case.
Well, you had an idea. What was it, Hood?
Rodney Hood. Like I said, Rodney Hood would be a perfect fit. He's averaging 15 and 8 rebounds. He's 40% in three-point right now. He wants a more significant role with the team.
Well, he wouldn't get that in Houston.
Portland's had him playing power forward before. So if you bring in Melo and you want Melo to start, or Melo tries to force that, then Rodney Hood should be like, hey, can y'all trade me? And the Rockets would be a perfect fit for him.
Well, would they trade him to the Rockets? They are in the same, conference.
At this rate, it doesn't matter. So I wouldn't. He's not like a superstar where it's like, okay, he can impact a whole bunch on our team. He's a player. He's a great player. He's just not a superstar. So you trade him within the conference, I don't think it's going to affect him like, oh, snap, they got Rodney Hood headline news. Huh?
Okay, so if you're the Rockets, would you be willing to give up your first for him? Because it's going to be a late first anyway.
Do they have their first? Like, I know the Rockets don't have a bunch of picks right now.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know. You might be right.
If I was them, yeah, because Rodney Hood just actually signed a contract extension with Portland. I'm just reading it now, last year. So he's there for the long run. And the guy's only 30 years old, so he's still primarily young.
Yeah, he would fit right with these Rockets. Move. Yeah, he'd fit right with these Rockets age-wise.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's better than let's keep it real. He's better than Daniel House as far as scoring is concerned. He plays better defense than Eric Gordon. He can dribble. He's not told to bring up the ball, but he can. And he's a hell of a slasher. I mean, I remember Rodney Hood back in Duke when he played with Duke, and he was a good player then. And then he wasn't bad when he was with Cleveland during the championship run. Of course, he just was sitting behind, LeBron, who you're not going to get no playing time when you're a small forward behind LeBron James.
Yeah, you're really not. So to me, I don't trade. You know me, I'm old school. I don't trade against people that I'm trying to get in the playoffs against. That's just me.
Hey, I'm trying to do anything to win right now. I mean, if you're Portland and Portland is desperate right now, being at 4-6, why not?
I mean, but whatever you're trading, what are you going to get that will replace Hood? Because a draft pick's not going to help you right now. That's a good
question. Now, if you're saying picks and they got a pick, maybe they could be on that rebuild mode, so that could be it. But if you're trying to get a player now, no. But Rodney Hood, the reason I say Rodney Hood, because, one, he's the perfect replacement for Gerald Green. Similar in stature, doesn't have the hops as Gerald Green, but both slashing small forwards that can still shoot. There you go. And actually has a way better percentage than Gerald Green. Gerald Green just got the light recently, but he's definitely more consistent than Gerald Green.
Yeah, I would like to see this team if Gerald Green was healthy, though. Because I think they.
Yeah, you ain't going to see that this season.
Yeah,
he's done.
I know.
Unfortunately.
And they didn't replace him. I'm sorry, Cephalosha didn't replace him. Anyway, the Rockets have. Go ahead.
I still didn't get Cephalosha, but that's another subject.
Yeah. Anyway, the Rockets beat the Pacers yesterday, 111-102. They have the Minnesota Timberwolves, and apparently the great playing of Andrew Wiggins so far this season. Tonight at 7.
Andrew's out for personal reasons.
Oh, so he's not playing. Oh, that's a big
He's
break
out.
for the Rockets, especially since Westbrook is out.
Yeah, but you still got to deal with Karl Anthony Towns and with no Capella. And, I mean, if you're going Karl Anthony Towns versus Tyson Chandler, I'm going to put my money on
the pup, yeah, because, I mean, Tyson's 100 years old now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'll be a good game. That's their number one tonight if Wiggins is out, and Harden is the Rockets' number one, and he's averaging 40 a game right now. So it'll be a nice matchup to see whose number one is better. I did want to really quick touch on something that kind of ticked me off last night watching the halftime or pregame. It was pregame, and Calvin Murphy, the Hall of Famer Rockets pregame host, a co-host or whatever he is, said that the only difference between Michael Jordan and James Harden is Michael Jordan got the recognition because of the rings. They're both unstoppable. The only difference is the recognition.
No.
Exactly.
Calvin Murphy sniffing that Kool-Aid too
I
much.
said,
key phrase,
yeah,
sniffing.
you know what? I haven't talked to you about this, folks. I just want y'all to know we never rehearsed this. We talk things over through Skype at work, but we never rehearsed any of this. I said basically the same thing on Twitter yesterday, that he's on some very strong drugs because Michael Jordan played defense. Michael Jordan was clutch, so it's not just the rings. Michael Jordan is the greatest of all times. James Harden can have these numbers in this era of basketball, but do not embarrass him, Calvin Murphy. Don't do it. I like James Harden, but don't embarrass him.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. But also, keep in mind, how many times did Michael Jordan was defensive he was defensive player of the year twice.
Yes.
So how many times was he all defense, including his later years, the second go-around with the Bulls? Harden may get one or two, maybe, because he plays passing lanes, but I'm sorry. If I have a great shooting guard like a Kawhi when he plays guard or PG when he plays two guard or whomever going against Harden, I'm pretty much saying I'm a barbecue.
And that's another thing. Kawhi gets under Harden's skin. Kawhi shuts him down somewhat when he decides to cover Harden, like in a series in which he needs to. Nobody could shut down Michael Jordan, including the best defensive player in basketball at the time, Gary Payton. Nobody could shut down Michael Jordan.
True. So, yeah, we need to do this. Though, actually, the best player that probably could have played against Michael Jordan is the guy he was playing with in Scott because of length and tenacity. Other than that,
that's it.
Gary was too short. Joe Dumars was too short. And if you had a bigger guard against Jordan, he was still going to shoot over him. But they can have that debate. That's a millennial answer. So, I mean, I guess.
But Calvin Murphy is a Hall of Fame basketball player. He's not a millennial.
The real basketball fans that seen the GOAT at his prime.
He's a homer, is what he is. And like I said, I like James Harden, but until you're clutch, you're not in any conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Not like you can be the best scorer in basketball, but you're not the best player in basketball until you are clutch. And I mean showing up in the playoffs is clutch. Not being able to be shut down by any player at any time clutch. Michael Jordan could get that fadeaway jumper whenever the hell he wanted, period. Period.
That's true, but it's again, we're going with Calvin Murphy, who's going to be the homer. Just like Daryl Morey said that in the summer, and we're like, Daryl Morey, please
They
stop.
are insane, and they are
embarrassing
embarrassing James
Morey's
Harden.
now the new one. Get him off of Twitter and Facebook and some interviews because he sounds very stupid. To be such an intelligent man, he sounds very stupid sometimes. But we can't put – right now, James Harden can't even be in the same conversation as D-Wade because obviously D-Wade got rings in championships and defensive players. You can't put James Harden against Kobe. I mean, I'm sorry. He's just kind of out there right now. He's lower tier. He could get up there to be the upper echelon, but right now he's superstar, not, Hall of Fame superstar.
Well, he's going to the Hall of Fame. But he's just not on the level of those guys you're saying.
Well, he's going to the Hall of Fame by default. Right now, you know what James Harden is? He's a new T-Mac. That's what he is.
But he's healthier than that.
Right. That's what it is. He's a great scorer, great penetrator, but hasn't done anything to say anything. To this day, I'll be one of the first people still saying, and I've bounced at some of Tracy McGrady's events, and I have no problem saying, like, bro, you got first ballot Hall of Fame. It's surprising.
Yeah, I agree.
Said, look at my body at work.
Bro, we are in Houston. We're going to get
outside
crucified.
of the scoring title, it's still surprising.
We're in Houston. You know we're going to get crucified for this. We are in Houston. But I agree 100%. It was mind-boggling to me. Because it was
exactly.
Anyway, so yeah, that's the Rockets. They got the Wolves tonight. It should be a really good game. I'm looking forward to watching it. J-Dub, we were supposed to be on Wednesday night. J-Dub wasn't here because he was at that Clippers game.
Which was a great game. I was surprised. I honestly thought the Clippers was going to blow them out.
No,
I'm sorry, I did.
But Kawhi was only playing 3 minutes a quarter, and I want we're going to run over on basketball, but can we talk about load management and Kawhi and Skip Bayless calling him the best player on the planet right now?
Wait, Skip said that because his uncle is giving him stuff. Skip now, if you ever look at Skip's IG, he's always in Jordan. Skip got some New Balances and a whole bunch of New Balance stuff, and all of a sudden he's drinking that Kool-Aid. Remember, Skip hated Kawhi from the San Antonio days, wouldn't even call him Kawhi when he was in Toronto. Now all of a sudden he's the best player. Come on, Skip, be real, brother. You were getting some from the uncle. The uncle was like, hey, lay off my guy.
Can I say this? Yeah, Kawhi Leonard is averaging 16 to 18 points in the fourth quarter. That's because he only plays 3 minutes a quarter in the other 3 quarters. So he's the freshest man on the court. You can rely on your teammates' talent for 3 quarters to keep you in the game or keep you close, and you can be a closer. But you can't call yourself the best player on the planet if you're doing that, because you're basically kind of cheating, because everybody else is out there playing 3 quarters, and they're playing their minutes. They're taking the abuse that you take penetrating, falling, rebounding, playing basketball. You're on the bench watching. So, no, you're not the best player in the world. You're just a closer. And you should be paid as a closer and not a starter. That's what they do in baseball anyway.
True. Now, also, I will say this, too. Well, at that game, Kawhi did not play James Harden up and up. They kept putting Patrick Beverly on him. Even he didn't play Russ up and up as much, which was very surprising considering you're considered to be one of the best players in the league, if not definitely the best defensive player from what a lot of people say as far as his position is concerned. But he didn't guard the 2 stars. He was guarding other people. So I do have a debate with that one that we'll talk about later. But if you're considered the best and you are the best, then you need to be playing the best. And that's just hands down serious.
And that means playing, not going out there jogging to stay warm for 3 quarters and then playing in the fourth. That's correct. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that's enough basketball for this week. We really are getting into basketball season, I guess, huh? The transition is real.
It's coming now.
Today, after 3 years removed from the National Football League, the National Football League is giving Colin Kaepernick a bone. They're giving him his own version of a pro day workout. Now, as of yesterday, it was announced that 24 teams are sending representatives. I don't know how high level these representatives are. It could literally be someone from the concession stand, and I would not know. It's a closed workout apparently because I'm not seeing anything on their network right now. So I don't know what we're looking at here. I don't know if they're just throwing him a bone or we are serious about giving him an opportunity to come back in the NFL. And if so, how are the fans going to deal with that?
Well, here's a factor. They really now announced it this morning. It was funny. I had to go to one of the entertainment blogs versus going to the going to the sports blogs where they said Jay-Z definitely had his influence on this one. They don't know if this was part of the agreement as far as the Rock Nation NFL deal, but Jay-Z has a lot of influence on it to the point Jay-Z is in Atlanta. So, with that being said, me personally, I don't think it's a publicity stunt, i.e. what Eric Reed said, but I think this is just, hey, we're giving Cap a bone, but they're going to dissect the hell out of this. And if Cap even has one missed pass, it's pretty much done. We'll see what happens because it's still the only reason why I'm thinking there were probably teams interested in Cap, including should be my Steelers especially after Thursday.
Yeah, we're getting there.
But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I want to believe that the NFL is legitimately trying to get him a job. I don't believe the NFL is trying to get him a job because the way they half-assed this thing. Because if they were serious about giving Colin Kaepernick a job, this would have happened in the off season. This would not be happening in week 11 of the season, where all but 4 or 5 teams are playing tomorrow or Monday, and they're focused on their next opponent because all but 7 or 8 teams are in playoff races. So they don't have time for this publicity stunt. They're focused on improving their team. Now there are some teams out there that might want him seriously and send some serious representatives, but Denver and John Elway is not one of those teams. So for you to announce a team like that is absolutely preposterous, and that tells me that this is a dog and pony show. Because John Elway has been clear. The Broncos made him an offer. He said, no, we are done. So I know the Broncos aren't going to sign him, so why the hell are they sending a representative? Because the NFL made them, not because they have genuine interest.
Yeah, I agree. But also, I just don't get the fact of the matter is, okay, why today? Like you said, week 11, but more importantly, it's a Saturday. And
The
when
day
I mean
before
that,
the game.
it's not to say, hey, that's a day off. I'm saying it's a Saturday, meaning most coaching regimes outside of the head coach, of course, most of the scouts are looking at college football right now, whether it's 1AA, 2A, or big-time colleges. Right now, Colin Kaepernick is like I said, he's 30, 31, 32, something like that. But they're not sending their top scouts because their top scouts right now are at the Alabamas, the LSUs, the Clemsons, and so on and so forth. So that really makes me feel like this is just, okay, Jay-Z, we're gonna go ahead and give your guy a practice, but yeah, we're not gonna tell you who we're sending because. Let's be realistic. They could send me in a Steelers jersey, you in a KC jersey, and say we scouting them and give them a scouting report, and then next thing you know, it's on the back of someone's desk or it's not even in the trash.
I 100% agree. So this is how I feel about this. Anything short of Colin Kaepernick getting signed tells me this is a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
Especially after that debacle that was in Cleveland this past Thursday. Well, this is the main event of the show. We are only supposed to talk about this for a few minutes, but it is time for us to talk about Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and Lamar Jackson. Who's the best quarterback? The best young quarterback in the National Football League, Justin, and why?
Okay, so this is where we're going to debate about this because I'm going with skill set. I'm going for what they're asked to do. Now, passing-wise, all day, that's Patrick Mahomes. But right now, you got 3 different quarterbacks, and it's almost 3 different things that we talked about last week where you have your pocket passer, your dual threat, and your scrambler. Lamar Jackson, to me, I like slightly better is because he's doing more with – I'm liking him now for what he's doing because he's doing a lot more with less talent. You guys in KC got talent out the wazoo. Y'all got the top 5. Y'all got the probably top 2 tight ends. Y'all got a top 5 wide receiver. The only problem y'all have is y'all have a top garbage running back. But other than that, and then you got Mahomes, and not to spite Mahomes, but Mahomes is the man, but he's not asked to have him to scramble and run all the time unless your line collapses, which now watching KC football because of you, the line collapses. Deshaun is doing work to the point where it's very, very impressive because the fact of the matter, he's not constantly having to throw to D-Hop. D-Hop is not even in the top 10 in receiving this year, which is a surprise. Deshaun's spreading out the ball and doing whatever he needs to do to win games. So, again, I like him on that, but that Lamar Jackson has that it factor. That factor of winning games, because it's not all about highlights. He can have a shitload of highlights and still be right now, for whatever right now. But he's winning games, whether it's running, whether it's throwing, whatever. He's doing the best with the least because he is not a traditional pocket passer. He is the second coming of Michael Vick. Realistically speaking, he's doing the best with the least amount of fundamentally sound. He plays street ball and is winning. That's why I like not Deshaun. That's why I like Action Jackson. But out of the 3, who's going to have a longer career to keep it real, it's between Deshaun and Patrick Mahomes. I don't see Action Jackson keeping that up at that rate, especially the way he runs, to be along. So I'm going to go ahead and say Action Jackson just because for the right now. But let's go ahead and debate about that.
Wow. Okay. You just gave me an entire lot to dissect. And I'm floored because I thought that's where you were leaning the whole time you were talking. But I really still don't believe you said that he's the best young quarterback in the National Football League. I will tell you.
He's doing the most with the less.
I will tell you that he has the best coaching staff of all of those teams. Period. Andy Reid, John Harbaugh was an Andy Reid disciple, but John Harbaugh is a great coach because he understands his team. He knows exactly how to run his team to take advantage of the talent he has. And Ozzie Newsome was aware of that when he made this pick because I don't think Lamar Jackson makes it in any other place like he's doing it where he is because this is a team that is identified with we don't give a damn. We can run the ball all day long and keep you from having the ball. And now we have this dynamic quarterback that can throw just enough that you can't play him to run like you should.
Mm-hmm.
And it's making him an electric quarterback. So he's playing extremely well, and I am coming to respect Lamar Jackson.
About time.
Listen, I'm a logical person, and I can read, and I can see stats. And statistically, he's not far off. He's not far off. At least when you put the total number of yards in play. But I will say this. Outside of New England and Kansas City, who has Lamar Jackson played this year that garners any respect? I'm going to move on to I don't know which order to put this in as to not give out who I think is the best quarterback. But I'm going to go with, now let's move on to Mr. Watson. Deshaun has moved to a level that I didn't think he had. And I don't know if it's coaching or that Deshaun is starting to see the field in a way that very few players can. The game is slowing down to a new level right now with Deshaun Watson. And it's absolutely amazing to watch. That's a team that I get to watch every week. because, of course, we live here. And this guy's playing at a level that I didn't think he had. I mean, I saw him in college because I did watch college, some college at that point. I did.
You got some. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I was a fan of Deshaun Watson, and I've said on this podcast several times, and Justin, you're a witness of that when the Chiefs did not pick Deshaun Watson, I was a little upset. I did not regret that last year when Mahomes was balling like an MVP, because I still thought that Deshaun Watson knows how to win a championship because he's done it before. I think because he's done it before, he's starting to make the NFL look easy. And
can I say this also? When you say coaching, I don't think it's coaching necessarily with O'Brien. I think O'Brien has finally realized that he can't make a pocket passer. And he has a guy that has special talent, and just let the reins loose and let him do what he's best at, which is anything he can, versus you're trying to make him Tom Brady. I get tired of everybody saying that O'Brien he coached Tom Brady, but Deshaun Watson's not Tom Brady.
And he's
not a pocket passer where he's going to sit there
and allow you to sack him.
And the Texans don't have that type of offense.
Right.
He can do what he got to do, and it's working. And that's more Deshaun than I say O'Brien.
But but on this Watson thing, we're going to give O'Brien some credit too, because we were slamming him about the Larry Tunsil trade. We thought he overreached and that they're all in. Well, they are all in. And that trade is now starting to pay dividend because they have the sixth best rushing attack in football with Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson as their running backs. So it's time to give him some credit for what he's done, because this line is now meshing since that Kansas City game. They have meshed to a point where they're playing at a level that Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson are the sixth best rushing attack in football. Nobody would have believed that at the beginning of this season. No one.
That is correct.
DeAndre Hopkins came into this season ranked as the number one receiver in football. He has not played that way. He's played like a possession receiver so far this season. This season, Houston Texans' success has come from number 4. And this guy is playing at an MVP level. Let's move to Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is coming off an MVP season where he threw 52 touchdowns and a few interceptions. He led his team in his first year as a starter in the National Football League to the AFC title game. This season, he's got 18 touchdowns and 1 interception, but he's missed 2.5 games. So those numbers are trailing everyone else's numbers. His team is not performing the way you would expect, and there's a lot of excuses coming out of Kansas City about the defense and this and that and everything else. Well, those other teams have questions on defense also. And yes, all 3 of these teams are in first place. But at this moment, everyone is more optimistic about the other 2 teams. The question is right now, who is the best young quarterback in the National Football League? And I love Patrick Mahomes, and until someone beats him, he is the reigning defending MVP. I think he's the most accurate of those passers, although the numbers don't indicate that, because Deshaun Watson is a 70% passer. I think he is the more explosive of the 3 because of what he can do with his arm and what he's willing to do with his legs and what he's willing to do with both scrambling around in that pocket. But he's not going to give you the Barry Sanders moves in the open field like Lamar Jackson. So there's a case to be made for all 3 of these quarterbacks. And I am biased in one aspect. I am a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I used to work for the team, blah, blah, etc. But the best young quarterback right now, unless he gets injured again, is Deshaun Watson. That's just the truth.
I agree with you with that one.
Now, Lamar Jackson can be the most electric player on the field, and he is in most games he plays. But I fully expect the Texans to whoop him on Sunday, because I believe Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback in the National Football League right now. But that does not make him the MVP. That's Russell Wilson. But Deshaun Watson is
still Russ.
Yeah.
We won't even go there with that. It's still Russ for MVP, especially after last week.
So in this whole debate about the best young quarterback right now, we're considering young as these last couple of years. So I believe it's Deshaun Watson. It's just because what I see, he's more accurate, he has more, and he's winning. And it might be because of the balance that O'Brien has found, and it's time to give O'Brien credit. It really is. We all wanted him fired when he was coaching poorly. But somewhere along the line this season, he's understood and found the balance he was looking for. And giving him the power to shop for the groceries allowed him to make a trade that probably would not have been made if he was not the general manager right now. And also, that someone's on waivers, I'll pick him up. Because I can do that because I am now the general manager as well. As we said before the beginning of this season, the Texans are all in. They look all in. They're playing as if they're all in. And, oh, by the way, they added a cornerback, and they're getting their fastest receiver back this week.
And that actually was a smart move because Hargraves actually was the stud at the University of Florida.
He's a good
but
player.
He was known as a head case. I guess he just didn't want to deal with it in Tampa. But with a winning culture, things change.
Yeah.
Just like Mika Fitzpatrick.
And he's
not to talk about the Steelers yet, but you put them in a winning culture, they tend to try to play a lot more than something that you know is just never going to happen.
He's a good player, and this is one of those times where you're just upset that your team didn't pick him up, because I believe the Chiefs were ahead in the waiver wire order than the Texans. So I don't understand. So you got to give O'Brien credit right now. And I don't like saying that because up until about that Kansas City game, he was a stooge. And the reason that everybody picked Kansas City to beat the Texans that game is because O'Brien was a stooge. Well, he's not so much a stooge anymore, and he's starting to look like a pretty good coach. He's starting to trust his player as his player matures, and they are playing at a different level right now. And the AFC should be on alert. Now, I hope the Texans don't go lay an egg on me tomorrow because I'm giving them this much damn credit. But I'm just going off of what I've seen the last few weeks.
I agree with that one. But, at the end of the day, the one thing I will say, this has probably been the most exciting football with these young guys we've seen in a long time. Because more recently, it has been – they started off with great hype and floundered. Like I said, I always bring up the Vince Young, Matt Leinart, Jay Cutler year where all three guys were supposed to be Hall of Famers, and right now all three guys are commentating somewhere, and Jay Cutler's probably smoking a cigarette somewhere else. But this is what football is. This is making it exciting. So whether you are a Deshaun, Pat, or Lamar Jackson fan, be happy because all of them are playing a great, great, great football, and if you're not playing with them, you're still watching them just because, it's like I said, it's just action-packed football. You can't get your eye off of those guys.
Yeah, it's very electric football right now, and we just had a whole 15-minute segment about the three best young quarterbacks, and we didn't even talk about, but briefly when I said he's the MVP, the best quarterback of all of the NFL right now, Russell Wilson. So it's a great time to be a fan of the National Football League, watching these electric quarterbacks and to have them all in the prime of their career or getting to the prime of their career and be this good before they're in the primes of their career it's just going to be amazing football for the next, 20 years?
Possibly.
Yeah, jeez. Wow, can you imagine talking about football for 20 more years and being at this level? And, geez, we doing all that, and what some people can screw, and definitely not me, the GOAT, hadn't even been mentioned in the conversation. All righty. We're supposed to be talking Texans now. I think we kind of have because I gave the Texans so much praise, and Bill O'Brien. Will Fuller is questionable this week. Either way, they're getting back a weapon soon. Now, we don't know if he's able to play more than 4 games in a row and be healthy.
That's debatable.
That's the truth. When he comes back, is he going to be healthy for more than 4 games? Because we're still not to that point in the season where it's less than 4 games left.
I'm just going to say, hopefully Will Fuller comes back, give Deshaun another weapon. I want to say this real quick because I got a friend of mine that's listening. He's a Chicago fan. Don't you feel bad right now that you didn't get one of those 3 quarterbacks we talked about, but you picked Mitchell Trubisky?
Yes!
I'm just saying, side note. But anyway.
Number 2 overall. Number 2 overall, Mitchell Trubisky.
They need hopefully Fuller comes back, comes healthy, because they're going to need him for the long run. Because you still need if D-Hop is officially your possession receiver, they still need that deep threat. Although Kenny Stills is actually playing, but both of him and Fuller are on. I don't know if they're on a race to see who gets injured the most and who misses most games, but they're back and forth a lot between the two. But if you can get all 3 of those guys back and have consistent tight end play,
look out.
With Atkins and I'm sorry, I forgot the other guy's name. Escaped me. I apologize for it. With Fells. With Darren Fells.
Yeah.
The Texans are going to be scary. The line's blocking. Hyde is running. That's going to be scary. But now they got a contest against Baltimore. Now, if they play solid defense, they're going to win. And that's it. If you can stop Lamar from running, you might have a game.
Yeah. You said if you can stop Lamar from running. This is where I'm going to go on a little tangent. I don't know why the hell someone has not stopped him from running. Until he shows me he can beat me over the top, I have 9 men in the box. I'm sorry, I just do.
But if you watch it, it's because he's throwing to his tight ends, and those tight ends are getting open. They play in 3 tight end sets with Andrews, the kid they just drafted, and I forgot the other one. They're playing 3 tight end sets sometimes, and it's working.
I don't know. I just don't really understand, man. Like, he's running, and we've been stopping the run for 50 years. Yes, Michael Vick comes along, and we game plan to stop him too. He's not accurate enough for me to believe that he can beat me if I can stop him from running. And that's the problem. We haven't been able to stop him from running. So, yeah, this might be the ultimate deep threat because they can't stop him from running. I mean, dual threat. He might be the ultimate dual threat because they just can't. If they could stop him from running, it would be a whole different ball game. And what happened with those other quarterbacks is they got injured at some point, so they did not run as well. If he can stay healthy, look out.
We're going to see because that's saying a lot to stop. Specifically, again, their offense is now built for him to run.
Yeah.
They got the hog mollies up front to go ahead and run that ball. Even Mark Ingram, who went to Baltimore because he said he wanted to be a primary runner, unlike he was when he was splitting carries in New England between Kamara, Lashley, but before that was it Reggie Bush for a quick second. He's actually down for the team. He's slipping the Kool-Aid saying, hey, I will block for Lamar Jackson, and he had. The big spin move that they had against Cincy last week was because the running back blocked one drive, so it made a huge hole for Lamar to go ahead and get to. Hey, it's working, but you're right. If I put 8 or 9 in the box, can it be consistent? That is the great question.
And that's the ultimate, why are we not doing it? But that's it's just so much to talk about with that. Because I like Lamar Jackson. His numbers made me a believer. I looked into his numbers as I was preparing for this debate with the best quarterback, because I'm biased, but I am also rational, and I acknowledge what I see. I acknowledge what I'm watching on the field. And winning is still the most important thing to me. And when a team is winning, I don't think it's up for debate as to who's the better of all of them. Deshaun Watson went in the Arrowhead Stadium and beat Patrick Mahomes. Tomorrow, he's going to try to beat Lamar Jackson because Mahomes beat Jackson. So winning and losing is basically everything, and that's why I rate how I rate. That's how I kind of do everything, is I look at numbers. No matter how spectacular you look on some plays, because Mahomes made a magical play again last week. So what? He lost. It's winning and losing. It's football. And it's the ultimate team sport. And by all means, the Chiefs should have won. But it's football, and it's winning and losing. And it's not what you should have done. It's what actually happened.
The thing is again, we just gotta. It's really seeing we gotta get past the eyeball test, but it's too hard when it comes to Lamar Jackson. Again, I always have to use Michael Vick. I'll even use Vince Young's first and second years in the league where he was successful. The eyeball test was scary because Vince was doing things that, he was doing things that we hadn't seen since Randall Cunningham. Since Vick's dynamic and Vince's dynamic were different, because you're talking 6 even maybe versus 6'5" easy as a quarterback. But these guys, it's specifically when going back with Lamar, they're building a system around him and it's working. But the thing is there's like no egos on the team. Everybody's down for making Lamar basically the MVP, trying to make him the MVP this year, although he's not going to get it. They're trying their damnedest to do it, and it's showing with a 7-2 record.
But I commend the league for that, because when he was drafted, nobody said he was going to stay a quarterback. Let's be honest. Everybody said it was a stretch to draft him in the first round at all, and the genius known as Ozzie did it anyway. So, what's up?
They seen something. Ozzie's seen
well, they knew they had the coaching staff to make it work for him, because he's not this successful everywhere.
But also keep in mind, remember, John Harbaugh was on the hot seat. He almost lost his job that particular year they drafted Lamar, or the season going into that draft. So this had to, with Ozzie Newsome retiring, who can't cover for John Harbaugh no more, this is all or nothing for John Harbaugh's career. It's pretty much, hey, if this experiment don't work, Ozzie's not there to cover for you, you out. I mean, it almost is the same thing with Bill O'Brien right now. Hey, even though Rick Smith is the one who should get credit for drafting and trading up to get Deshaun, hey, if you don't let Deshaun do this, this, and this, and these trades you're done to protect Deshaun, this don't work. You out with everything. Whatever you are, GM, coach, Indian chief, it don't matter. You out of this. So it's an all or nothing situation that they happen to put on these kids. I'd almost want to say the same thing with Andy Reid too, where, hey, you've been long in the tooth without a ring. And if this ain't going to work with Patrick Mahomes, you out of there too, sooner rather than later.
Well, okay. So we're going to get out of order, but let's do that, because I don't get my rant this week. It's your week. So let's do that. Andy Reid took the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is not an accomplishment. It's just what actually happened. For the first time since freaking Joe Montana was the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs in 1994, the Chiefs went to the AFC title game. Prior to Joe Montana, it hadn't happened since the Super Bowl year. Yes, my mother was 10 years old, so I was not alive. So the ungrateful fans in Kansas City really irked me, because just 10 months ago, we were a coin toss away from being in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are still in first place in the AFC West, although the surging Raiders are coming after them. If you believe that, I want to go to Galveston and sell you some damn sand, okay? The Raiders, no. I'm sorry. I don't believe. I won't believe. I can't believe. The Chiefs are going to get healthy, and they're starting to get there. But why are the freaking fans trying to fire Andy Reid after just 10 months ago being a coin toss from being in the Super Bowl? You ungrateful parasites.
That's because the fans are too emotional now. Let's keep that real.
It's one game.
One
game is up or down.
So,
one
you get
game.
used to it after a while. Fans get emotional. That's the first thing they want to do is fire the coach.
One game in week 10, and we're going to fire the coach because he says the same thing after every loss, that he has to do better. Well, what did you want him to say? Did you want him to come out there and say, Dave Tobe and his guys let me down because we had this game under control if they just do their damn jobs? No, you say, as a head coach, I have to do better because all those guys report to me, so apparently I'm not doing something right. But you want to fire a coach because it was a bad loss. It was. And I will tell you this, I was afraid.
You got to hate him or love him.
Yeah, I was afraid going into that game because every time we play Tennessee, some weird shit happens. Marcus Mariota threw a touchdown pass to himself in a playoff game to beat the Chiefs, okay? Weird stuff happens when we play this team. So at that time in the game, I was afraid. And every weird thing that needed to happen happened.
At this point now, look, your fans wanted 16-0, and that's not logical in today's NFL. It worked out for the Patriots, and then obviously they didn't win a Super Bowl. But again, fans are fickle, except for one fan base, which is the Texans. I'm very surprised. They're not always on the bandwagon to fire their coach, even if they go, 4-12. But every other fan base is very, very fickle with that.
Yeah, it's just, I just don't understand. Yes, it was a terrible loss, Justin. I was frustrated, but I've been watching this team for my whole life. And I've seen the last few games we've lost to Tennessee. You can go back and watch all of them. Some weird shit happens in those games. Just like this week when a long snapper snaps the ball before anybody's ready. I mean, come on. It happens. And it's always against this team. And it's always in Nashville.
But you can't blame the coach for the field goal kicker.
No, you can't.
Special teams.
You can't.
That's the thing that drives me nuts. If you blame it if it was bad plays, you can't blame it if the long snapper snapped it too early and they blocked it, or the field goal was missed. That's on the kicker.
Exactly.
I never understand why fans all of a sudden want to fire the coach where it has nothing to do with what he did. It's whatever happens on the field.
But it was some dumb shit, Justin.
Looking just like a fan most of the time.
But it was some dumb shit. Like, seriously. Like, you can, if you were a Chiefs fan, you could only say only us. Because every time we played Tennessee the last few years, something like that has happened. I'm not shitting you. Marcus Mariota threw a touchdown pass to himself to beat us in the playoffs. Seriously.
Oh, I forgot about that.
This is what happens when we play this team. So all Chiefs fans should be weary when we play this team. I hope they don't go to the playoffs. Because if they do, I'm afraid of some weird shit happening. It always does. But we want to fire our coach because weird shit happens. Anyway, after he just took us to the AFC title game and we were literally a coin toss away from being in our first Super Bowl since the 70s, let's fire that guy. Let's go to the Texans.
Coin toss and a bad call. That's also, you forgot the D4 thing. Yeah, that in itself would have probably had y'all over.
Yeah. But it all happened and the fans still want to fire the coach, even though, we had bad luck, bad calls, all kind of bad shit happen. One more thing about the Chiefs is they did announce this week that they still intend to keep Chris Jones on a long-term contract here. So I don't necessarily have to talk about Frank Clark being a bad fit and how the Chiefs need to find a way to trade this dude because he does not fit like at all. and when he plays, their defense is worse. And I don't know why the head coach does not see this. We were able.
What did I say at the beginning of the podcast? I said y'all traded for a guy who had one great season in Seattle out of 3. The other ones were mediocre. I think they kind of were sniffing the juice too much, and it didn't work. It shouldn't have been that easy.
Awful, Justin, because now we got to find a way to use this dude, and he's not good in this defense. He's just not. The Chiefs are better when he does not play.
Well, they're not going to trade him because that'll make them look like they did something wrong.
Well, they did something wrong because they're better when he doesn't play. It's obvious. I can see it. The fans can see it. The world sees it, but they are going to keep playing this guy because they're paying him.
Yeah, they cutting the check. That's the problem. As long as you're cutting the check, then what
but
are you
you're
gonna do?
making us worse. That's the problem. Play him on passing downs only, but on running plays, get him off the field because he's making us worse. We were able to stop the leading rusher in the league, Dalvin Cook, and hold him to 71 freaking yards. But we give up freaking 200 to Derrick Henry, basically. Like, dude, sit this guy down. We're better when he doesn't play.
If they can get something for him that's worth it, then y'all will win. If y'all can
take
trade him for a number 2 and 3, y'all not getting a number 1. Y'all know
I'll
that
take
for
a
fact.
fifth.
If y'all can trade him for a number 2 or 3, then, that might be beneficial.
Brother,
But
I will take a fifth to get out of the contract.
I think Andy Reid, this is one of the few times he's going to eat crow, going to keep that team the way it is.
I will take a fifth to get out of the contract. I'm not playing with you. Just so I don't have to pay the contract, I will take a 5th-round pick, and I will give him to whoever wants him, and that includes Denver. But he does not fit, and we don't need this money on our books because we need to pay the guy who does fit, Chris Jones.
That's saying a lot. A 5th-round pick.
Yes. I just want out the money.
Like a second?
I just want the money back. I don't care about what I gave up to get him. I just want the money back. I need the money back because Chris Jones does fit. He fits well. He's almost dominant. And, we play better when he's the anchor. So get this guy off the field. Get him out of the organization, and please get the money off the books so we can pay the people that actually we need to pay.
We're going to see. That's going to be a tough one. Again, that's eating crow. See if Andy Reid is willing to go ahead and say, hey, I made a mistake with this trade with Seattle.
Does he want a Super Bowl, Justin?
I agree.
I mean, it's really simple to me. If you're better without somebody, you get rid of them. Period.
Yeah, it's addition by subtraction.
Yeah, like seriously. But now because you got him, you got to keep throwing him out there, and he keeps making you worse.
Plus, you're paying him. Mind you, he's probably the highest paid player on your
Yes,
team.
he is.
You gotta play him because you gotta pay him.
No, you don't, because he's
you can't
the
have
worst.
A guy that's getting paid that much money.
But he's costing me
it ain't gonna work like
games, man. I don't care how much money you make. If you make my team worse and I'm winning when you're not there with a backup quarterback, go away. Go away. Get out of my lineup. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. The scouting department was wrong. It happens. Let's try to get out of this deal as quick as possible. Please. I hope it isn't all guaranteed. They need to find a way out of this money. They really, really do. And I'll take a 5th. I might even take a 6th just to get out of the money.
We'll see.
The Steelers played on Thursday.
That's still a lot.
The Steelers played on Thursday Night Football. And did we? What? There it is. We just now talking about it. We skipped it earlier, huh?
Yeah, we skipped it earlier, but well, let's go with that one. Let's just start with the fight.
Yes.
The fight.
Yeah.
To me, let's just go there with that one because I don't really want to talk about our offense. Our offense is abysmal. But let's start with the fight. It was uncalled for. Biggest word to say. We were 8 seconds left. We're down 14. What's the point? So we're sitting there. We ran a play, regardless of the play worked or not. Even if he went, 87 yards for the touchdown, there's not enough time to go ahead and do an onside kick, get the ball back, and try to score to tie it. It's over. The Steelers, their competitive nature, they're going to keep trying to play till the clock strikes zero. The play within itself was wrong, and I will say this Mason was wrong just as bad as Myles Garrett. Now, Myles Garrett got what he deserved. And Mason should get some games too. And the way he played, he should get the whole season. But that's another subject. We're going to that next. The only one I don't like with this suspension in the NFL, you've seen it coming. With all these bad penalties, what Cleveland was doing, they were gunning. You got 4 different guys that got hit in the head. They only called 2. Yeah. Juju and Johnson, but there was 4 of them.
They didn't call the one on Juju, bro.
So did Connor, but quote-unquote called it at his shoulder.
Hold on, let me
right upside his head.
Let me fix that. They didn't call the one on Juju. They didn't call that one.
NFL don't want to do that. It's their prime time, baby. This is a rivalry game, and so they're all of a sudden want to do that. Plus, the NFL, I'm gonna keep it real. They have been pushing the hell out of Baker Mayfield like he is Brett Favre. He's a second-year quarterback that, yes, has all the tools and he has a chip on his shoulder. But if you really want to go with a second-year or third-year quarterback through all the commercials, you got Patrick. He's getting his share of commercials, but I would rather see him do more commercials. Lamar has none, but he needs to be doing some. Or Deshaun Watson outside of the Houston market, he needs more stuff if you're going to try to push a player. The Steelers right now with this situation, they should get fined, but the only person I think that should not have gotten fined or suspended for that long is Pouncey. Pouncey went to go protect his guy after the helmet was thrown. I'm not going to let my guy get hit, but with a helmet and think you're going to get away. Damn that. We about to get them hands. You're going to get knocked in your damn face and you're going to knock my guy with a helmet. It's plain and simple.
So I'm glad you acknowledged that Rudolph was just as much at fault as Garrett, because I'm a little bit frustrated by people not acknowledging what they actually see with their eyes. Sometimes you got to take off the fan goggles and see what's actually happening. What Mason Rudolph did was uncalled for, and what Myles Garrett did was uncalled for. I'm not mad at the Steelers for continuing to play. I love that mentality. I still think Mike Tomlin's coach of the year for what he's done with the talent that he's been working with. Like, he has literally had replacement players. Either he needs to fire – if anyone needs to be fired in Pittsburgh, it's the entire medical staff, because y'all haven't kept any single position healthy other than the offensive line the entire season. Everybody's been getting hurt.
The offensive line is hurt too.
Yeah.
That's why we got Matt Fleury who had the penalties. Our starter is not there either. And Foster just came back.
I did
line too got hurt.
I did want to correct you. They did not call the helmet-to-helmet that happened to Juju on that play. It was called for the Rudolph hit. They had one already, so they didn't call the other one. But when Juju got hurt, I know that those guys that made that hit should be fined, and it should have been called in that game. Those officials did an awful job of protecting players in that game. And it's an embarrassment to the league what happened, but it happened because the officials didn't do their damn jobs. Cleveland, I'm not a Steelers fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I've grown a little affinity for Mike Tomlin's job this year, what he's done with that team. But Cleveland was headhunting. They headhunted that entire game, and I really think that needs to be looked at, because wasn't that their D coordinator, Greg Robinson, a couple years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really think something needs to be looked at about that, because that's that culture, and I think the NFL needs to investigate, because what I saw on Thursday night was assault-level football. That was old-school football that Cleveland was playing, and the officials let it happen.
We lost 5 players in one game. 5. I've never seen so many players drop in a game, but out of the 5, 3 of them were because of concussion. How do you get that? 2 of our receivers, you had Juju get knocked out, but then Dante Johnson, our second string receiver, actually starter, I take that back. He got hit so bad, but he was bleeding out of his ear. He had a concussion and he was bleeding out of his ear, which means He got hit so hard it ruptured his eardrum, which messes up your equilibrium. So that's a deliberate play. And then you had the one kid jumping up and down like that wasn't a bad play. And then they look back at it, and he's like, "Oh, I guess it was." Really?
Yeah.
Really? You know what you were doing. Y'all were spearing the whole goddamn game. Don't go there. You were spearing. Now, if Cleveland all of a sudden spears Odell Beckham and Mason and all them, they're going to go ahead and cry to high hell.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I really think the league needs to look at that because I've never seen so many bad hits in one game since these rules came out. When these rules came out, the players bitched, they moaned, they complained. Great, but they complied to a certain extent, except for a couple players. One of them has been banned indefinitely. But for the most part, the players, they complied because ultimately the rule is put in place to protect one another. Cleveland headhunted that game. And from what I've seen in fines from Myles Garrett this year, it seems to be a culture there. Like we just said, the Bounty Gate defensive coordinator just was there. I think the league needs to do their damn jobs.
I agree. And just to show that, if you want to go ahead and protect the shield so much, and here's the thing, the league is always having these rules because they don't want kids to start doing it. But if a kid sits there, specifically a kid from Northeast Ohio, who that's their team, if they sit there and see, hey, this is what my team does, and then come today on a sunny day, goes play Little League football and does the same exact thing as their guys did on Thursday, what happens? What does the league look like? This is why you have all these parents sitting there saying, hey, I don't want my kid playing football, because they're watching what they see on TV and it's coming down on a lower level. It's coming to the high schools and it's coming to the Pee Wee leagues, and they're doing the same thing they see.
Yeah, I'm glad that the league is trying to take the culture to try to teach the kids, but until they get serious, like the suspensions I've seen so far from this game are about this brawl. They need to talk about these hits, and some players need to lose some money and maybe miss a game or two. And I don't care if they're concerned that they don't have enough players on the roster. You're talking about safety. You're talking about setting examples. You're talking about your primetime game. And you're seeing these players headhunt and fight and disrespect your shield. And all you're worrying about is the actual fight itself. You need to find the officials that allowed that to happen. Because I see you doing is blaming the players. The officials are supposed to be in charge of the game. They did not do their jobs.
You hit the head right on the head.
So it's a lot of blame that need to go out. It's a lot of money that needs to be withdrawn from some people's accounts. It's an investigation that needs to be pursued. A lot of things need to happen after that embarrassment on your primetime game. And in addition to that, you really need to look at this Thursday night football, because these players did not have the recovery time they needed to get ready to play another bloodbath of a game like this. So you had more injuries than normal. Maybe these tackles happened because these players were fatigued from playing a football game just 4 days prior.
Yeah. And they're tired and they're upset, and that's how it comes to be like that. But NFL's making too much money off of this, so I seriously doubt that ever changes.
Well, they got to do something, because if this is a result of players being fatigued, I don't know. If they investigate and say that there's no wrongdoing from the coaching staff and then something's got to. Can we look at just Thursday night games and see how many more players are injured in those games as opposed to regular games where players actually get the rest they need? Because I don't know what it was, but
we do need to check that out. That would be a good stat to see.
Yeah, it seemed like an infirmary out there. Speaking of infirmaries, your offense. injuries. So, and how bad your offense was. Can I start this one? Because this is your team, so can I start it? And then you can.
Go for it.
For 3 quarters, I told you at halftime, I didn't have enough information to grade Mason Rudolph. I was actually optimistic going into the second half because in the first half, he made plays that gave his receivers a chance to make plays. And the receivers just weren't making the plays. He was playing in spite of an offensive line that was getting their asses handed to them. And he was still giving guys a chance to make plays. And then the third and fourth quarter hit. And Mason Rudolph turned into a deer in headlights. Making bad throws, making mistakes, holding the ball too long. It was just almost embarrassing. So I hope the Steelers have representatives out to see Kaepernick today because they can't possibly do worse than what I've seen in the third and fourth quarters of that game. Mason Rudolph is not your quarterback of the future. He is not more than a game manager, which means your defense that you're leaning on this year, you better hold teams to 10 if you want to win with this guy as your quarterback. He's not it. And for the first half, I defended the guy on social media because I didn't have enough information. But after seeing the second half, I had all I needed. This is not his first, second, third, fourth, or fifth game starting. So for him to play as poorly as he did down the stretch means you need to go to Devlin Hodges or sign Colin Kaepernick today. I don't know, but he just ain't it.
Oh, he's not it in the handbag. Now, here's the thing also. Mason is showing he's still gun-shy from that hit, like it or not, because when he does throw fast, when he does get that ball out, it's so wide where he's throwing it to that it's almost confusing because you're throwing it in basically a gap where nobody's there, whether it's the wide receiver, the tight end, the running back, none. The second half of that game showed a lot to me as well because he overthrew the tight end. He threw over both tight ends, with Vance and the kid we got from Seattle. Both tight ends are above 65 or at 65. Overthrows them drastically where they're jumping their highest and still not getting the ball. The tip. Now, Tomlin is defending. I will say this. Tomlin's just trying to defend Mason to a certain extent because we didn't have our starting wide receiver out
and that
during the second half.
That is
true. We did have 3 practice squad guys playing in our starting lineup.
Yeah.
But I can't say that. The only thing I can say right now is Mason, he didn't impress me the last game. He threw 2 critical interceptions in the first game against 2 weeks ago against Miami on Monday Night Football, which if it wasn't for the defense stopping Miami, we would have gave Miami their first win versus Cincinnati the next week. He is not what I thought he was going to be. Again, I was on this kid because I'd seen what he did at Oklahoma State. I'd seen him what he did against my alma mater, Pitt, when Pitt had a top 20 defense, specifically in the backfield. We got 3 guys actually in the NFL right now from that secondary that's playing in the league in different teams. And between Mason and James Washington lit us up for 500 yards passing, and Washington had 200 receiving. But that may have just been the system, or Pitt just had a horrible game, and maybe just because it's Big 12 football, and Big 12 is known for having kind of overrated football. But Mason's not it. Do I think we should go Cap? I've been saying adamantly no, but we got Hodges in the back, and then we got Paxton Lynch sitting there, who was the ultimate bust for Denver.
Ooh.
At this point, I mean, we're not trying to shoot for the Super Bowl. We're just trying to win games now, just so we could have an adequate season. I mean, being 5-5, considering what we have, still. I mean, we still have a better record in Cleveland, and Cleveland has all their players, and they have 3 All-Pros on their team compared to we have 0 on offense, outside of our offensive line, 2 offensive linemen, which one will be suspended this week. Again, even with James Conner, I've sat there and said before, and we'll segue to that in a little bit. Also, our future is going to have to do some changes this draft. Our defense is set. Our offense needs to play because if not, then we're going to be in some trouble in the future, and Tomlin will be fighting for his job again.
Okay. Right there, you lost me. You lost me at Tomlin's fighting for his job. This guy is the coach of the year to me.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying we're having these conversations again about Tomlin fighting for his job. Not me specifically, not the black community, but you know the deal.
I'm not saying this as a member of the black community or nothing. This guy is 5-5 with basically the replacements.
Nothing.
The replacements.
Yeah.
Like, really, he's got the replacements. He could do what they're doing in Miami and tank. He could do what they're doing in New York and the Jets and tank. Like, he could have easily done this. He's actually got a Super Bowl ring. Them coaches don't. He could have tanked. He could have tried to shoot for the best possible draft pick. And he's got these guys out there willing to fight for a quarterback that sucks. So, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. This is the best coaching job easily in the NFL this year. Because he's literally playing with Keanu Reeves at quarterback. Your defense, and tell me about your defense. How's it looking? They were good up until they were good up until this week. They looked all right. You were even calling Minka the defensive player of the year.
He still is. Here's the thing: we were on the field too long. If just like in any football, I mean, you know, at firsthand with Kansas City, if y'all have the defense on the field too long, the defense gets tired. Now we had a bunch of blown calls. Now some calls we didn't get, but let's be real. For us to hold Odell Beckham to only 60 yards, 4 catches, 60 yards, 3 of them in the first half. Landry got that touchdown, but Landry got a touchdown on a blown play where they
didn't cover nobody.
On reverse play, and Landry caught that touchdown.
They didn't cover nobody on that play.
And keep in mind, we're doing with Mason throwing all the picks. We're going short yards. We're going 90 yards down the field, but because of Mason throwing the picks or whatever the case may be, Cleveland really was working on 30 yards. If you're a top tier team, you don't even have to be a top tier team. If you're an NFL team, you should be able to work for 30 yards to always to the red zone. That's easy. Well, let me say it's not easy, but if you have that type of weaponry that Cleveland has, they should be able to manage it. I even was surprised one of the plays that now they're using Kareem Hunt more as a receiver than as a running back, which is still shocking to me, but okay,
Hunt
it's working.
Is a great player.
Am I still saying Minka for a defensive player of the year? Yeah, I still am. I ain't changing that answer. There's only one person I'm sitting there saying, whoa, that could fight Minka right now for that position on what he's done with the Steelers is my man over there in San Fran, Bosa. Bosa actually looks like he could win rookie and regular defensive player of the year. But, hey, we're doing the best that we can. But, hey, if we're on the field for Lord knows how long, when we're 3 and out, interception, 3 and out, interception, missed field goal, interception. No team can win like that. I don't care if you're Kansas City, New England, the Bears are 85. You're not going to win like that at all.
Well, I definitely agree with that. It's really hard to win that way in football. I just think your coach is still coach of the year. I
agree. He is. He's doing nothing with something.
I'm not sold on Minka yet. I think he's playing well, especially for him transitioning to that position. But you're a little hot. You're a little hyped because you're a homer. But
no. I actually did some homework.
What about Mr. Pick Six?
Went back also and seen what he did. He did actually pretty good in Miami as a rookie last year. Mind you, people forget it's not like this is Minka's 5th or 6th year. This is his 2nd year.
Oh, I'm not saying he's not
and
great.
He was a monster at Alabama. So I'm going off of what I see. I always say, I'm a homer, but I'm also gonna go with facts. I'm gonna tell you right now that I was never sipping the tea with Mason Rudolph, I just said we got to give the kid the benefit of the doubt. We have. It's over. Now moving on. Because if he isn't suspended next week, which I would very, very be shocked, and I would debate that if he's not suspended. But if he does play against Cincinnati and he stinks it up, I honestly would cut him right then and there. Go ahead and give him his walking papers and send him wherever the hell he lives.
So I'm going to say this about you and the wagon of players of the year and the homerism. All your guys play a pretty favorable schedule just because you're in that division, and y'all played the AFC, was it East? So you had like Buffalo and Miami. Also, you still get to play Cincinnati twice a year. So that's why I'm not sold on defensive player of the year, because I look at the entire body of work and then who they are playing. That's why I don't rate Lamar Jackson as high as everyone else has been trying to rate him, because of who you're playing makes a difference, and it's Cincinnati and it's Miami, and I don't care what they're doing and what their record is, it's still Buffalo. So yeah.
But who else is a standout on as far as the defensive player of the year talk is concerned?
Well,
that's the only thing I'm saying. I'm going off of homerism, but I was the first one to say Bosa up there in San Fran. If anything, he's not just defensive rookie of the year. He may be defensive player of the year. The way he is balling out in that team, that defense is the intimidator, not the offense.
And since he's been traded,
but other than that, I haven't really seen anybody completely stand out. Where ESPN is constantly talking about him as well. So that's the other factor.
Well, I hope that's not what you're using as your standard, because Bristol sucks. You didn't even mention Mr. Post-trade, Mr. Pick 6 in your own division, because he's got 2 in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I forgot about him too. My bad on that one. Because even, I will say this, AD, Aaron Donald's having a quiet season as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he still has facts. Khalil's okay. He's not doing what he had done.
Wait, you can't say that. It's just because his offense sucks.
And of course, some of it is homerism, but a lot of it is the fact is it's like, hey, the guy's got a lot of stuff going on considering the fact he's just getting the playbook and saying, fuck it. He's saying, fuck it, let's go.
I don't think you can say that about Khalil Mack. I just think it's because Mitchell Trubisky is just so damn bad that no one looks at what the Bears are doing.
Chicago's is actually better version of us. When I'm saying their offense is struggling, which making their defense struggle. So Chicago should have a way better record, but when you have no running back, you trade your running back away or you get rid of your running back. Tariq Cohen's too small. He's not a running back. He's a scat back, i.e. Darren Sproles Part 2. And Trubisky's terrible. What are you going to do? You ain't winning, period.
Let me tell you something. That just gave me a great idea. Wouldn't that be a nice destination for Colin Kaepernick?
I agree.
I think that would be perfect because it is.
We would be a nice fit for him.
Yeah, I said that too. That's what I meant to say.
I think Tomlin is trying to give Mason as much time as possible, but
he ain't it.
I would cut my losses and just say, hey,
he ain't it.
This ain't it.
I
told you that literally Friday when I Skyped you, I said I was looking at the 2020, the top 10 quarterbacks in the 2020 draft because that's what we need to do.
And
maybe
why
not the first round? Obviously, we ain't got a first round pick, but we need to start looking at these kids to see what's good, what's next.
Why not Pittsburgh, the home of the Rooney Rule? Why not Colin Kaepernick?
That's a good question. Before I wasn't on the bandwagon with Kaepernick just because of the fact of the matter is we have a youth movement going on, and that's why I was trying to ride with Mason with as much as possible. But hey, kill that, because right now at this point, if we have a serviceable quarterback, I don't even say we need to have an elite quarterback. If we have a serviceable quarterback and we get our run game back to normal, Connors can, give us more. Mind you, we're also out our first and third running back as well. And Jalen Samuels is not a running back. He's really a fullback that they're forcing that running back. If we can get that, we could manage to even get a chance at a playoff spot. So now I can say this, America. I wasn't on the Kaepernick bandwagon, but just because the way they play, and I'm kind of killing the youth movement thing, everything can be useful but this quarterback situation right now. Why not Cap?
Why?
If he could play, and if he can learn the playbook and learn the system quickly, we may have a chance. Why not?
Why not?
We did it with Michael Vick a couple years ago. Why not Cap?
Why? Why
Kneel
not?
or no kneel. Now the NFL doesn't even show the national anthem because of all the controversy. So that's irrelevant right now, and he'll stay in the locker room anyway. So why not?
Why not, Cap? That's what after what I saw on Thursday. Why not? You wanted to talk about drafting and what you're looking for in a draft, since you kind of so I don't understand that. And before you do that, because I kind of want to wrap up by talking about the playoff chances for all these teams that we cover or we talk about. Your team is in the mix, so why are you looking forward to the draft already?
I'm looking forward to the draft for a quarterback, period. For a quarterback and a running back, because one, as much as I love James Conner, he's a Pitt guy. He's from Erie. He's not 3 years in, and he has not played. He's not going to ever have a 16-game season. Now, you said the cancer, I don't know, but now it's starting to be proven. I don't even think he should have came back this game. But we need somebody else. We got Benny Snell, cool. Jalen Samuels needs to be more of a fullback, so that means we need a backup at running back as well. Quarterback-wise, this ain't it. I'm not banking on Hodges right now. I mean, it's still young. He's still young. But I want to have somebody that can move. That line is a great line, but if you have not to say even a Lamar Jackson, but if you have somebody that could move, i.e. like your guy, like a Patrick Mahomes, where he can get out. He's not a fucking statue.
Well, he wasn't until they
see that banking on our future.
He wasn't. Hold on. That's not fair, Justin.
If I could rescind that trade, especially the fact Jacksonville's never going to use Josh Dobbs because he's the third string. Thank you for the 5th-round pick, but they're not going to use him with the battle between Stash and Foles. That's never going to be used. I would love to see get Josh Dobbs back there because he can move. That's why I'm looking at the draft. Now, as far as this season is concerned, we got to do what we have. But when it goes to 2020, we got to figure that out because Mason's not it. And I'm not going to give him leeway now because I think that hit has completely blown his confidence. He's done with that. He's either holding it too long, trying to wait for a receiver to move, or he's just throwing it to something even the Matrix can't see.
Wait. That's not fair. And that hit was a hit. So you need to give him a chance to get comfortable again because that line got its ass kicked this week, period.
I agree.
They got
Flair
whooped.
was getting killed.
They got whooped.
Pouncey and DeCastro were the only ones that were holding their ground. But Flair, Villanueva, we were getting killed.
Yeah, y'all got whooped. Y'all got whooped, and of course he's rattled after that hit. But in the first half, he gave these receivers a chance to make catches. Now in the second half, he got tired of getting hit, I guess, because the receivers wasn't making the damn plays anyway. But to call him a statue, he was trying to make plays. He moved around in that pocket, and he still took chances. Like I said, in the first half, on that 3rd and 12, he gave your receiver a chance to make a play. And that's the difference between them, you having the first down in their field percentage, on the other side of the 50, and them literally getting the ball 20 yards down the field, marching down and scoring a touchdown, and it's 14-0. So that's not fair. I don't think he's the guy. I told you that, and y'all should probably pick up Cap. But, of course, he's a little gun shy after that hit and being hit like that in the first half, and the officials aren't protecting him.
All the time. I just feel at this point, we still got to look.
Yeah,
even if
I agree.
Mason, I do think if you light a fire under his ass, because honest to God, truth, we don't need Ben. I looked at Ben on Thursday with that robotic cast on or whatever. That's definitely Tommy John surgery.
I told you.
Gentlemen, you got to realize that Ben's arm may be done. But I don't want to start have a controversy where it's Big Ben versus Mason. It's like, both of these guys, it should be either Mason and bringing somebody new.
So, of these teams we cover, the Chiefs, Texans, and Steelers, what do these teams need for the playoffs? Because right now, to me, the best team positioned for the playoffs is the Texans.
Yeah, because not Jacksonville, well, them too, but the Colts are struggling right now. They just get Jacoby back and he's not 100%.
Well, getting him back is going to help. But I'm just talking about the way they're just playing. I don't like, even we talked about the Ravens a little today, and I guess we can kind of start covering him, I guess, but we don't really have time right now. But even his team, I just think the Texans are the best team right now because of Deshaun Watson. And their defense is playing fine, and O'Brien is willing to pick up guys off the waiver wire that he think can help his team. I just think they're probably the best team in the AFC right now.
They're the most complete team out of the AFC.
Yes,
I'll say that.
Yes.
We still got to go with the team that's 8-1 as the best team right now. As much as we both hate to say it, but they are the most complete team, and if anybody has a way of challenging them, it definitely would be the Texans versus New England.
Well, we'll see.
The first time. I almost want to say ever.
Won't we see that game next week? Isn't it Texans New England next week?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get to find out, because I'm tired of that high horse, because I don't believe
that
it.
Is true.
Again, they get the luxury of being in the AFC East. So they play Miami and Buffalo. What's the other team the Jets? Oh God, I forgot about
Jets
them.
And the Dolphins.
Yeah, so a lot of these teams that have these stellar records get the privilege of playing, and I'm including Baltimore. They've gotten to play the Jets. They've gotten to play the Bills. They've gotten to play the Dolphins. They've gotten to play the Bengals. They've gotten to play these teams that just suck. And
now I gotta hold you on the Bills. The Bills are 6-3
because they get to play
New England, but they are 6-3
because they get to play Miami. Because they get to play Miami and the Jets.
Bills, but they are 6-3.
But they get to play Miami and the Jets and the Bengals. I mean, come on. Huh? I mean, come on. I'm not giving them credit for this schedule. This is why we said New England has the easiest schedule for a Super Bowl champion in the history of the league.
Well, they'll always have that. They're going to have that because when's the last time the Dolphins haven't been relevant
since Dan Marino.
Jeez. And, of course, the Bills haven't been really, really relevant since, I think, the Flutie days, which is still around the time when Dan Marino was retired. And the Jets had their little short run, but it wasn't lasting long.
And Le'Veon Bell's got to be regretting going up there. And their quarterback is starting to look like a bust. I know.
That is very true.
And I said this when they did it. I think the dumbest thing they ever did was let Teddy Bridgewater walk.
Yeah, that is for fact.
Anyway, the Chiefs and their playoff chances, they still have New England on the schedule. Oakland's playing better. I heard a report today that Denver still got their sights set on the playoffs. We got the Chargers to Monday night. So they have a pretty tough schedule, and they haven't been playing well. If I'm going to go back to saying what I said before. If they don't win this division, yes, Andy Reid should be fired. I still believe that. I do. They are the most talented team in that division. They are one of the top, as far as talent is concerned, teams in all of football. So if you don't win your division, you should be fired. But unless they round into shape, and I'm giving them some more time because it's still like I don't care that you're 6-4. I care that you make the playoffs. I don't care if you get home field advantage because my quarterback is better on the road anyway. I just want you to be playing your best football going into December or ending December and in the playoffs so that we can be what we think we are. We're getting healthy. So our line is going to get better. It's just a matter of getting all that back. We got a bye coming up after this Monday night game. So yeah, I like the Chiefs' chances. the Steelers, I think, are going to be on the outside looking in just because of the quarterback situation.
Yeah, we have another game with Cleveland. We got Cincy next, another game with Cleveland, Jets, Bills, and end off with the Ravens.
Well,
We realistically speaking could win
9 games.
I predicted. I told another person the next 6 games we can go 4-2 if the offense prevails.
Yeah, I think you should
So
win
far,
9 games.
But I still think we can do that.
Yeah,
it would make us if we went 4-2, it'd probably have us around 9-7.
Yeah, I think you should win 9 games because I don't believe in the Bills. I'm telling you, and I think you will beat Cleveland just because of what happened this past week.
Oh yeah, because it's now in Pittsburgh, so now you're on our turf, and it's going to be that game is going to probably be needed to be hard officiated, like a couple years ago with Cincy after the playoff game, where they were hard officiating the Steelers in Cincinnati because of the hit.
Alrighty, so we just covered our playoff chances. We'll see how that goes. I think obviously we'll be following that the rest of the season. Now we're going to close the show with J-Dub and the NCAA.
All right, so if you've been paying attention to the ESPN and some of the bloggers recently, they had a guy named by the name, and I told KC about a guy named James Wiseman. James Wiseman is predicted to be the number 1 pick in the 2020 draft. Kid out of Memphis, playing for Penny Hardaway at the University of Memphis. Well, as of yesterday or the day before, he is now ineligible to play because he took money from a coach, which happened to be Penny Hardaway before he got the Memphis job, before he even knew he was getting the Memphis job. He took money from Penny Hardaway 3 years ago because he was on his AAU squad, and Penny gave this kid money to relocate home. He gave him $11,000 to relocate back to his original home in Nashville because of an ailing family member. So he gave the kid $11,000, not a car, not $100,000, not nowhere where Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and all the rest of those USC guys got paid back in the early 2000s. So someone blew a whistle on that saying that's wrong. Penny went to the NCAA and said, yes, I gave this kid $11,000 for his family to go ahead and move their stuff and also pay for some of the medical bills of the ailing family member. Here's all the receipts showing that. Yes, I gave them the money. This should not affect the reason. The kid already said he stayed close to home because of his family member and his mom. Other than that, he would have went to Duke or NC or whomever else is the top tier talent, but he didn't. He went to Memphis. And happens to be, next thing you know, Penny Hardaway is the coach of the University of Memphis. Now, is this a conspiracy? In this case, no. It's the NCAA, again, trying to go ahead and be the police. No, you can't give this kid money in high school as a sophomore, not as a college freshman. And Penny didn't know he was going to get the job at Memphis. He's only been the coach for a year. It wasn't in the pipeline that, hey, Penny, 3 years from now you're going to be a coach. So now you're suspending this kid for the whole season so he can't play because he took $11,000, not millions of dollars, not $100,000, $11,000 for relocation and medical expenses for a close family member, which I'm not mistaken, I think it's his grandmother. Come on, NCAA, really? This happens all the time. Every time a kid gets money, it's happening in Ohio State now with the kid Chase Young, the defensive end who's probably going to be the first pick in this year's draft, or first defensive player, top 5, if anything, where he took money to pay for some bills that his family couldn't afford. And he admitted it. He put it on Twitter himself. I took money from a family friend that happened to actually be an AAU coach, not an AAU football, but basketball coach, to go ahead and pay for some things for my family. Guys, let's be real. The minute these kids take this money does not necessarily mean they're going ahead and doing this to buy cars and jewelry and stuff like that. Not everybody's Reggie Bush and Terrell Pryor. But the NCAA got to stop this. This is what happens. As soon as they have a top-tier talent, a Zion, a Wiseman, whomever, or RJ Barrett, they automatically want to go ahead. Other coaches blow the whistle on them, and I think it's not fair to these kids. If you want to play this game and now all of a sudden you don't want to let them go to college, go to pros straight out of high school. They're still fighting that. The NBA is now getting with it. Why? This is why the kids go, because you guys are going to go ahead and whistleblow them so they can't play. So why am I going to go ahead and sit in college and watch games where I could be playing them and making millions? It's stupid. And I really wish they would stop snitching and just go ahead and live about. And these coaches do the best with their teams and worrying about everybody else. That's my rant. I just feel bad for the kid. If it was all like that, he could have went overseas like Lonzo Ball's kid is doing right now, played for a year, got his eligibility for the NBA, and still would have been making money versus now sitting there at college waiting for the NCAA to go ahead and give him a yay or nay when he can come back. Because he's gone after this year anyway, so it doesn't matter. If I was him, I'd unlist from school and go overseas and ball now until it's time for the NBA to call me. That's my rant.
That makes sense. I definitely would too. If I can't play in school, why not go get paid? Because these communists and the NCAA really are stupid. Anyway, I'm Casey Reginald Jr.
It's your man J-Dub, Justin Waters.
This has been our show for the week. We'll talk to you next Saturday.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do Saturday.
We'll see you next Saturday. Peace.
Peace.
When you're sick, every minute counts. So don't go anywhere. Go to dispatchhealth.com where high-quality medical care comes directly to you. No getting out of a sick bed. No crazy driving to an emergency room. No endless paperwork. No hospital waiting rooms. Visit dispatchhealth.com to learn about our medical professionals, then make house calls. Dispatch Health is covered by Medicare and most major insurance. Go to dispatchhealth.com. When you're sick, every minute counts. So don't go anywhere. Go to dispatchhealth.com where high-quality medical care comes directly to you. No getting out of a sick bed. No crazy driving to an emergency room. No endless paperwork. No hospital waiting rooms. Visit dispatchhealth.com to learn about our medical professionals, then make house calls. Dispatch Health is covered by Medicare and most major insurance. Go to dispatchhealth.com.